So as we move around, racing through our universe here, from our perspective on the Earth, the Sun now has moved on into gateway number 35. And gate 35 is the gateway we call progress or progress. And it gives the image of moving on, stepping up, making some kind of expansive possibility in our life. Something rearranging as in accordance with what it is that we do. It's in the throat center, as are these gates that we're looking at the moment. And this one is in the collective circuitry. Again, it's not personal. And it's in the collective abstract circuitry. So abstract is very much about looking over our shoulder, looking back, looking for reference points, joining dots from things that have gone on before. What we just looked at previously was the 16, which is the logic gateway on the other side, the top left-hand corner of the throat center. So now the 35 is in the top right-hand corner of the throat center. So it's kind of balancing the nature of the 16th gateway in abstract terms. And whereas the 16 is all about being very selective, what to commit energy and intention towards and what is going to grow and what we're going to put our mastery towards in terms of experimentation and future-oriented efforts. On the abstract side, the whole stream starts in the root center at the 41 to the 30, which is the opening up the vision of what it is that really burns inside us. What are the experiences we really want to have? And then concludes through the 36 to the 35, up to the throat center through this channel of versatility. I'll try anything once. So whereas on the logic side, it's about doing things over and over again and improving and practicing. On this other side, on the abstract side, is once is enough. I'm here for the experience, and that's that. So the 35 is the gateway where it measures the quality of the experience. Is there a sense of having moved on anywhere? Have we progressed at all? And so looking at the wheel here, 35 right down towards the bottom end of the wheel here, and on the left side, the 36 is the last of the gateways in the emotion center. Okay, so the channel of 35, 36, what I call versatility. On one extreme end of things, it's just diving into anything, any experience. On the other end of things, it can have a very short attention span. Oh, I've done that, I'm not interested, you know. Yeah. And the whole thing with the 35, 36 is it's measured at the 35 was there some progress here? Was there some movement? Was it a worthwhile experience? And so the progress name is all about advancing. And there's many ways we can advance. We can read a different book. We can go to a different movie. We can join a different religion. We can, you know, there's all these different ways of playing within our life to have different experiences. And so I say about it, advancing, and now for something completely different. Oh, I've done all that old stuff. You know, I don't want to do that stuff anymore. Now I've got to move on into other things. Let's try something completely different. Different experience. So seeking to qualify life by comparing all manner of experiences, right? This is not about a personal comparison with anybody else, right? It's about what are the experiences that give a sense of meaning, that give this sense of progress, expansion. And here there is an unceasing drive to explore every aspect of human nature. That's what it's all about. And I say this abstract circuitry is very much about referring things from the past. Has anyone ever done this before? Have I ever done it before? You know, I'm just here for the experience. Let's just see. Let's see what my experience is. So the most important thing to understand about this whole stream of energy here is it's impersonal. It's about the experience. And so everybody can seem to be having the same experience. They're all sitting on the same wagon on the roller coaster, and up it goes and down it goes. And everybody, even though they're in that same carriage, everybody's having a different experience. They're experiencing it in their own way. So it's completely impersonal. And so here's the great thing about getting friends and family and other people involved in experiences. Everybody has to look out for themselves. Everybody's going to gauge it for themselves as to whether there's a sense of progress in what it is that actually took place for them. And so it is completely impersonal, is what I'm trying to point out here. And so essentially you get friends and family to come along for an experience. There's a degree of self-responsibility in all of that, but there's going to be that overview is, am I providing or putting out these experiences in a way that's actually going to benefit for anybody? Are they going to up-level their life? Is there going to be a sense of expansion in their life? So let's have a look at the commentary. And the commentary points out some very particular things. It says to be fulfilled. And here it is, here we're having this life experience and we're all having our own very particular experience. We might be sitting next to somebody and we're involved in the same thing, but they are having their experience. I'm having my experience. And so life is about being fulfilled and being fulfilled personally. So it's about engaging in experience that bring you that sense of personal fulfillment. Anything can bring you fulfillment. It has an awful lot to do with your attitude. Right. Cycles of experiences, because everything in the abstract circuitry has a beginning, a middle, and an end to it. Everything we enter into, every book we pick up and we read, there's a point in time where the book's done, finished, put it back on the shelf, done. It was an experience. So cycles of experiences become spirals for growth in consciousness. Why enter into an experience otherwise? Unless there's going to be some sense of achievement, some sense of growth, some sense of spiraling, that I'm not just going to keep on doing the same kinds of experiences at the same time. Once on the roller coaster is enough. Let's try a different one. Right? So it becomes spirals for a growth in consciousness. That's the whole point of it. The linking the experiences of life together, we start out with very, what can I say, perhaps childish experiences in the younger years, and we move on into more and more advanced senses of experiences that take us up in a sense of rising consciousness. And here it's very particular. You only need an experience once. And most often, having the experience itself is the goal itself. Right? The experience is the goal. There's nothing else needs to come out of it except this sense of the rising of consciousness. Okay, did it, achieved it, jumped out of an airplane at 30,000 feet, lived to tell the tale. Great. On we go. What's next? So here it is. It's like there's no limit to the experiences that life can offer us. And it might be said, that we're beginning to come to that point in time where the envelope has been pushed in many directions as far as it can go. How many hundredths of a second can you run off a 100-yard sprint or a 100-meter sprint? There are certain limits to where things can go. We're all here to have experiences, but it's all about qualifying what it is that really brings us that sense of fulfillment, ultimately, and what takes us upward in our sense of consciousness. And there's a clue in being really present while we're having experiences, while they're going on. Let's have a look at the lines. We start with the first line, and the first line is called Holding Steady. And it's a little bit of an odd line, this one. It says, accepting setbacks as part of life's progress or part of life's process. So there it is. We enter into an experience and we're either going to feel like it's a satisfying experience for us, it brings us a sense of fulfillment, or we can come out of it saying, so-so, not so great. And we can enter into something and it just really doesn't turn out as expected. And there's this sense of it's a setback. I have to rearrange, I have to redo. And that is the whole thing about experiences and passing these experiences into the world, that they're shared experiences, right? They're impersonal and they're shared. And the great thing to see is, each of us is having our own experience in this. So here, whether you see yourself as right or not, it is always possible to take rejection personally. So rejection in the sense that things didn't work out as expected. Does everything work out as expected? Is life turning out as expected? Does life actually make sense? Life is certainly not logical, though many people work on that basis that it should be. And life is all about having these experiences that things can happen at all kinds of different times. And so it says, whether you see yourself right or not, it's always possible to take rejection personally. Like somehow life didn't like me, it didn't give me the outcome I was looking for. And it says your inner harmony sees negation as a sign to refine your perception of experiences. And here's the bottom line in the whole possibility of being fulfilled in life. It all comes down to attitude. What's your attitude? What's your attitude entering into anything? What's your attitude getting out of bed in the morning? What's your attitude meeting friends? What's your attitude engaging with your family and loved ones? What's your attitude in any particular moment in time? How are you going to experience it? Is it just same old, we always do the same old things all the time? Or are we spiraling up in consciousness? Particularly, this is very, very relevant in our relationships. Are we growing in our relationships? Or are we in a place of status? Nothing's moving. And the other side of it here, it is easy for you to take any form of rejection as a personal failure and humiliation. All of us know what failure and humiliation feels like from time to time. It's part of the deal. It's part of the experiencing of life. But again, the attitude counts for everything. Is it just a long downhill slope in which life becomes a sufferance rather than an extraordinary experience? So the first line really lays it out. Every setback that happens, part of life's process. That's it. Things are never going to work out hunky-dory every time, because life would be incredibly boring if that was the case. So we've got to work out how to keep on expanding and how to keep on growing and spiraling upwards. That's the whole point. The second line is called growing. Every interaction brings potentially new experiences. Right? It's not same old. Everything keeps on moving. The whole world is spinning through space. Everything is shifting all the time. And yet there's a potential to just, the traditional way is I'm always going to interact with you in this same way like this. Same old. Sometimes your endeavors are held back until you are available to receive assistance. Yeah, it's just like that sometimes. Sometimes we cannot find our way through. We cannot see how to progress, how things are going to expand, what it is that's going to enhance our life, to bring a new possibility, a new sense of upliftment in progress. The one side of it, inner balance and virtue, copes with unproductive times until your inspiration returns. We cannot guarantee that inspiration's always there. Sometimes we need a nudge. Sometimes we need somebody to come in, brighten our day. Sometimes we need to go in and brighten somebody else's day. And all of a sudden things start moving in that sense of progress and evolution and expansion. The other side of it, in moodiness, you can insist on progress whether the timing is right or not. You just push ahead, and there are bound to be consequences of that. So the essence here, the 35 with the second line, the essence is to grow. What are we growing in? We're growing in our sense of fulfillment. We keep, just as the 16 in the logic side was all about selecting those things we're going to put our energy towards, to enhance, to polish. On this side, it's about those things in life we put our energy into, the experiences we align ourselves with. They're going to help us to grow in our consciousness, in our sense of satisfaction and fulfillment. So inner balance and virtue copes with unproductive times. Inner balance and virtue, being clear, holding steady with it. And the other side of it, in moodiness, you can insist on progress. And there's sure to be issues with that approach to things. The third line here is called combining, sharing experiences with others. Okay, so collective circuitry, collective gateways are all about sharing. And so we know about third lines. They tend to be daredevils. They tend to be the experimenters, the ones that jump in without really checking what the consequences might be. But very ready to have fun, very ready to break the ice, to go in, hey, come on, this is going to be fun. Evolution, right, comes when you fully experience life in the company and trust of others. So third lines typically always have an issue around commitment. And anyone in a third line partnership will know the door has to be open. You know, they can go anytime. You know, that's a security issue. It's just being able to detach and depart at any moment in time. There's no threat about, hey, you're boxed in and there's no way of going out. So the growth, the progress for the 35 with the third line is sharing experiences with other people. Hey, come on, let's do this together. It'll be great fun. And so your expansive nature brings progressive change to your own and others' lives. And this is where the third line can really blossom, in a sense, that they have an aptitude to going into things that are different, which is what the 35 is all about. Oh, we've done all these other things. Find us something different. The third line will come up with something different. And so it can enhance your own and others' lives and bring that sense of combined energies, that sharing of great intent. As I said, everybody's having their own experience, but the third line is very quick to recognize, you know, where are the enticing ones? Where are the really fun ones? The other side of it, you tend to take a pivotal role in everything, often disregarding other people's roles. And that can be the case. It's a third line. It's just really can be really focused. If I'm going to do this, I'm really going to jump into it head first. And if people want to jump in with me, all good. But I'm here for the experience. That's what the 35 is all about. I got to have this sense of some kind of growth, uplifting, shift in my consciousness through the experiences I jump into. That's it. The fourth line, being impulsive, right? So fourth lines tend to gather people around them, have this kind of influential tone. Very different than the third line. You know, the fourth line is very, we're all in this together kind of thing. And as I say, everybody's having their own experience, whatever it is that's involved. And so the fourth line, in a sense, hey, I've got people with me here. We're going to have progress, whatever it takes. And there's a deep yearning that everybody else should share those experiences with you. And maybe some are up for it and some are not. But anyway, and it says, check your authority when you are pushing for experiences without any obvious goals in sight. Right? You're just diving into the experience, probably taking other people with you, whether they're ready for it or not. And there can definitely be fallout from that kind of situation. And it says here, your inner integrity recognizes the significance of change and the opportunities it brings. So you'll know certain experiences are really great for other people to share. They're easy, but they're expansive. And everybody lives in different stratas of experiences in their lives. You know, there's people that live in the city, there's people who live in the country. They're like completely different. People live in the middle of a country, people live on the seashore. It's completely different. There's all kinds of experiences that people can have. So here with the fourth line, your inner integrity recognizes the significance of change. And it can see, yeah, come on, here's something that'll be really fun for everybody, a growth experience. The other side of it, you push for excitement at any opportunity, sometimes precipitating crises. Oops, they weren't ready for it. Oh, it didn't turn out right. All the bits and pieces weren't in place for it. And so, yeah, there's a nature to be impulsive, to want to share experiences with the fourth line. And you have to be really careful. Check with your authority just to find out, are you on board with it? Are you absolutely clear about jumping into whatever this experience might be? The fifth line, being honorable. Right? Fifth line has got the vision. They can see the potential outcomes, you know, how experiences can be extraordinarily fulfilling for people, you know, really uplifting, testing courage, all kinds of different things, great excitement, tempering expectations in favor of progress. There's always that balance, about great expectations in life. And generally speaking, we're talking about the emotion center and the emotional energy when we're talking about expectations, oh, it's going to be fantastic. Oh, not so good. Oh, but it's great again. Not so good. And the nature of the shift in energy in this particular stream of energy, in this abstract circuitry here, is there can be a really rapid expansion and excitement. Wow, it's going to be incredible. Oh, amazing. And then a very sharp drop off at the end. Oh, that wasn't what I was expecting at all. That just did not come to measure at all. Not fulfilling. Total drag. And so here the fifth line is honorable. It's very ready to see, the excitement might not be in balance with the likely outcome of an experience. So tempering expectations in favor of progress. Look, let's do one step at a time. Let's just go into this with eyes open, but very, very clear about who's going to have what kind of an experience here. You enhance experiences by giving of yourself, whether you feel personally benefited or not. And there it is. That's the honorable fifth line with the 35. I'm here keeping a very clear eye on everybody else's experiences here. It's my great sense of progress in my own life that everybody has a great experience, that they feel looked after, they feel cared for and concerned for, that I'm here, that everybody has a great time. So you look for the benefits for everyone you're involved in your life. And you'll see, if you're 35 with the fifth line, you'll see you're always keeping an eye out for everybody else. You want everybody else to grow and progress and have that sense of fulfillment in their life, whatever it takes. The other side of it here, your generosity brings expansion for everyone, often without a sense of personal fulfillment. And there's just a little bit of a piece of the puzzle missing there, because the fifth line, there's always a great projection on what the fifth line is going to offer everybody. And with the 35, everyone expects you to offer them a great experience. We're going to have a great time with you. And so the fifth line, oh yeah, what am I going to do here? Rather than step by step and just being honorable and seeing, how do I bring benefit as well as being fulfilled myself? All of the energy goes out into make sure everybody else has a great time, but you're last on the list yourself, that you actually can even suffer as a consequence of engaging. So it's a fine balance in providing the sense of growth and progress for people with the fifth line. And then we come to the sixth line, the self-examining line, a readiness to re-examine and realign your outward feelings. What are the feelings you put out? Now, six lines are always in this position of having the overview of everything. We might say they're the wise one about the nature of progress and experiences. And they can measure and they can see what progress is all about, how it is to make it possible for people to feel that their life is expanding, that their sense of progress in life is growing, that they're going upwards in their life. They're being fulfilled. And so the sixth line here is really watching to see, how do I gauge this right? So people, yes, they have an amazing experience, but it's not just me pumping them up or providing for them to have this experience all the time. So here it says, regretting any experience impels you to modify your ways, simply or with a complete overhaul. So as I say, you only need to do an experience once. And the sense of repeating it gets very old very quickly. There has to be some sense of modification each time. Some new presence is involved in it. And so the sixth line just sees, okay, experience is available for everybody. And yet certain experiences are not going to give any sense of progress. They're just going to be boring, mundane, not so interesting. And so any kind of regret, the sixth line is going to look at this and just see, okay, can we tweak it a little bit? Just like the 16 tweaks, experimenting to bring things to a better point. And here It's tweaking the experiences a little bit. Or should we just scrap the whole thing and start over? You have the self-discipline to be fair with others when you implement change in their lives. So sure enough, the 36 can be very involved in bringing about change in other people's lives. There are all kinds of circumstances we get involved in according to the collective, whether it's schools or businesses or societies or committees, or all these things. And none of us want to have a really boring life. All of us want to feel like the life is fulfilling. And so the 36 with the 35 with the sixth line here is saying, whatever it takes to make people feel fulfilled or bring about that sense of fulfillment for the collective. And that's the deal. And I'll be self-disciplined to make sure every person's situation is met, that everybody has that possibility to feel a sense of progress in their life. And the other side of it, your drive to instruct other people in ways that change their lives can be unpopular. Sure. You put out rules and regulations, you put out stopping blocks, you all of a sudden put a little fence in the way and you can't go in there and have that experience anymore. Sure. But there it is. The sixth line, in a sense, always feels responsible for the collective. So much at play here. And we'll just see, as the sun goes through this 35th gateway, do we feel that sense of uplifting in the experiences we join into in our life? Do we feel that uplifting in our consciousness? Are we raising up in life? Are we finding that place of fulfillment? And bottom line, always remember, the bottom line is, what's my attitude? What's my attitude in this moment? Am I open to the experience? Or am I, let's see what comes about.